You ever been in the middle of a lesson, right? You've got this perfect plan all laid out, and then this little inner voice whispers, hey, maybe try something totally different? Well, today we are diving deep into that very voice. We're talking about intuition, a skill that pretty much every teacher has, but one we almost never get taught how to use. And this, right here, is the dilemma. It's a thought that runs through the minds of so many teachers. I mean, you've spent hours, maybe your whole weekend, getting a lesson plan just right. But then, in the heat of the moment, a new idea, a totally different direction just pops into your head. So what do? Stick to the script or trust your gut? Okay, let's really break this down. Because this isn't just some random thought. This is the central tension of teaching, isn't it? It's this daily conflict between the structured, pre-approved plan and the spontaneous, completely unpredictable reality of a room full of actual students. So on one side, you've got the plan. It feels safe, it's structured, it's what your training probably told you to do. But let's be honest, it can also be super rigid. And on the other side, you've got your instinct. It's all about responding to what's happening right now. A student asks this brilliant, out-of-the-blue question that could open up a whole new conversation. But following that path, it can feel risky, like you're going off-piste. The truth is, those handed-down guidelines often just fall apart when they meet real people with their real, wonderful, and unpredictable responses. So what even is this inner voice? Is it some kind of mystical force, a teacher's sixth sense? Nope, not at all. It's time we demystify this whole idea of intuition and see it for what it really is. A core professional skill, one that's built on your experience, and something you can actually get better at. This definition is so important. Your intuition isn't random. It's your brain, in overdrive, processing all of your past experiences, every single lesson you've ever taught, every interaction with a student, and then serving up an insight right when you need it most. It's all that experience just bubbling up to the surface. It's like a mental shortcut that you've earned in the classroom. And just like any other skill, you gotta maintain it. This is absolutely crucial. We can't just fall back on old habits, right? Because what worked like a charm with last year's class might totally bomb with this year's students. A truly great teacher is always collecting feedback, always taking in new information to challenge and upgrade their intuition. That's how you keep it sharp and accurate. It makes sure your gut feelings are always based on what's actually happening in your classroom now. All right, so how do we actually get better at this? How can you train your intuition so you can rely on it as a guide? Let's get practical and look at our first technique. It's all about learning how to listen to that inner voice, and it's a simple 3-step process. Okay, picture this. You're in the middle of a class, and you hear that little quiet voice suggesting a different question, maybe to just change the pace a little. That's step 1. You just have to tune in and notice it. Step 2 is weighing your options. Does this little intuitive nudge feel more reliable, or maybe even more exciting than what your formal training tells you to do? And finally, step 3, just be bold. Give it a try. See what happens. The reflection you do afterwards, that's where the magic really happens. That's how you fine-tune that instinct for the next time and turn a gut feeling into a seriously reliable professional tool. So once you're getting comfortable listening to your intuition, you can actually take it a step further. Let's move on to our next technique. Now, this one's a little more advanced, but it is incredibly powerful. Think of it as an experiment designed to help you let go of those really rigid plans and fully embrace spontaneity. The core idea here is really simple. When we overplan, we basically tie ourselves to a specific set of actions, and that makes it super hard to react to the living, breathing classroom right in front of us. It's kind of like a GPS, right? A rigid plan is like a fixed route, but great responsive teaching is like a GPS that recalculates when you hit unexpected traffic or when you discover a more interesting, scenic path along the way. So here's how this little experiment works. First, just prepare your material. That's it. Pick a text, read it, get familiar with it, but do not plan any specific tasks. Then, in class, you teach live. You hand out the text, and you just create the lesson as you go, guided by your experience and your intuition. As you do this more and more, you can start to adapt how much prep you do, finding that perfect sweet spot between being prepared and being spontaneously brilliant. It's all about discovering what works for you and your students, right there in the moment. So what happens when you start to master these techniques? What does it actually look like when this all comes together? Well, it creates this vision of the teacher as a responsive, intuitive artist, someone who has been beautifully described as the cat in the classroom. I mean, this quote from the poet and teacher Theodore Ruthke is just fantastic, isn't it? It perfectly captures the energy and alertness of a teacher who is truly present, instinctive, restless, and totally in tune with their environment. Like a cat, they're aware of every little movement, every sound, every shift in the room's energy. And this really shows you what he meant. Rothke talks about teaching by suggestion and insinuation. He even says that teaching a class like it's a poem, with these big associational jumps, is dangerous, but very exciting. Wow, that is the art of teaching intuitively. It's about responding to your students moment by moment, which leads to a kind of learning that is just so much more organic and profound. Which brings us right to our final thought. After digging into all of this, the real question for you to reflect on is a personal one. How much do you trust your intuition? And maybe more importantly, how much more could you trust it? Not just to make your teaching more dynamic and exciting, but to unlock whole new levels of connection and learning with your students. Because when you embrace your intuition, you're not just becoming a better teacher, you're becoming a more authentic and responsive one.